Eamon, thanks again for giving us the time for the interview. Firstly, is English football better or worse off without Mario Balotelli?
I would say English football is immeasurably better off without Balotelli. It was a very weird decision to buy him because before he was bought, Jose Mourinho said that he was unmanageable. When Mourinho was at Inter, Balotelli was there, and if Mourinho couldn't manage him, you'd think nobody could. Mancini thought he could, and I think it was an expensive mistake, and they've done well to get rid of him and get money for him, whatever it is, 18, 19 million. He's gone back to Milan. It's a club he always said he wanted to play for, but I don't think he is there. He has talent, but talent without application is no good, and there are other factors outside the game as well that seem to be out of control. So he's no loss to Manchester City, and he's no loss to English football because he's not a particularly good role model. Not that players should necessarily be role models, but I think for a football club and for for the sport, the way its leading players behave is important. And if you look at other sports, golf would be one good example. So would rugby and GAA. You don't have characters like Balotelli. You don't want characters like Balotelli, and I think it's good for soccer that he's gone.
Next, English managers look to be a dying breed. What can be done to reverse the current trend away from them in the Premier League?
It's a very good question, and there's no kind of easy answer. I think one of the factors is that there are fewer English owners of Premier League clubs now. A lot of the clubs are owned by foreigners, a lot of the big clubs. In fact, all of them really. Manchester United, Manchester City, Chelsea, Arsenal. They're all owned by foreigners, and significantly Everton were, owned by an English group. I have Scottish manager David Moyes, but I think that's one aspect of it. I think the other aspect is the Premier League is where the money is. There's more money washing around in the Premier League, and will be even more when the new television deal kicks in. That for foreign players and foreign coaches to make money, it's a very attractive place to go. I think there's much more instability in English football at coaching level than there is anywhere else, Germany or Spain or even Italy. I think so. There's a higher turnover of people coming and going from jobs. All of those are factors in the equation. It is very difficult to understand why so few English top coaches exist. And it's actually always been the case that there's been, relative to the numbers involved, a dearth of English coaches and managers. Even in the golden era of the game, what I consider to be a golden era in the 60s and 70s, Matt Busby was a Scot, Jock Stein, Bill Shankly, they were all Scots. Scots have a great record in management. So I don't know what the real answer is, but I think a lot of it has to do with people who are abroad, good coaches, top-notch coaches, wanting to come to the Premier League for the money and for it has a sort of spurious glamour about it as well, the Premier League.
And finally, this week's tips.
This week's tips. Okay, there's a win double. I think is good value. It'll pay well over evens. Everton at home at the weekend, I think will win, and I think Manchester United will win at Fulham away from home. It's a very good bet. It's a good double. The treble, there's three doubles rather, and a treble. A standout draw, I think, is Reading Sunderland. Reading have done okay, but Sunderland are hard to beat. I watched their match this week against Swansea. They didn't have one shot on target, and it was a 0-0 draw. But I would say, whilst they didn't have many shots on target, they didn't give up much either against a very good side. So I think Reading will struggle to beat Sunderland at home. I think Sunderland will go there looking for a point. I think they're highly likely to get a point. The other match I think is likely to be a draw is QPR Norwich. Again, QPR under Redknapp have improved, but what they've improved from losing heavily to drawing, and Norwich a tough side to beat. I think that will be a very close match. I think that's also likely to be a draw. And the third match I think is almost certain to be a draw is West Ham Swansea. Swansea are most impressive. They keep the ball, they pass well, they're a very well organised side, but they're a blunt instrument. They don't score many goals. They've given fewer goals away from home than any other club in the Premier League. Only given I think 9 goals away, so they're likely to keep a clean sheet. West Ham are a blunt instrument. They're not likely to be scoring hatfuls of goals. So they'd be my 3 draws. I'd be reasonably confident this week we'll get at least 2 of them up. So it's Reading Sunderland, West Ham Swansea, and QPR Norwich. They're the draws.
Eamon, thanks again for your time.
Pleasure. Okay.